Are you just trying to live, laugh, or love? Or are you just trying to do all of the above? This is the podcast for you. If you're a headlining comic, an aspiring comic, a class clown, or just an average bro or doe looking for a good time, you, my friend, are in the right place. Welcome to the magical world of Just Trying to Podcast. Here we go. Welcome, triers, doers, and everything in betweeners. This is Just Trying to Podcast with your host, Mike Tony Heath. This has been a great week. I am so excited to come back after a great episode with Charles Hall Jr. I got a brief episode this week about just trying to stand up comedy. Last week, we had Charles Hall Jr. on the podcast, and it was awesome. He gave great advice. He's a great hang. If you are in Seattle, you should come out to Comedy/Bar in Capitol Hill. See him on June 3rd. Get your tickets. I'll put the link in the show notes. Come see this guy. I'm going to go see him. He's great. Good all-around guy. You know, not just... You get the impression if you watch him on stage, like, this is the kind of guy I'd like to hang out with. And then you hang out with him, and you're like, yeah, I do enjoy hanging out with this guy. A real class act. He was a fullback at Central Washington University. If you didn't get to watch go back, episode 15 of JTP. But I share that to say, if you are a college athlete, Charles isn't in the NFL right now. Who knows? Maybe someday he will be. But he's not right now. So maybe you were a college athlete and that was your dream, to go to the NBA, go to the NFL, go to the NHL. Maybe you wanted to go to the WNBA. Whatever you wanted to do, you're an athlete, or just you did something growing up, and you thought, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I actually didn't even ask Charles. I don't know if he ever wanted to go to the NFL. I don't know if that was a dream of his at some point. I know it was for me until I realized that I'm a scrawny little white boy that doesn't quite have the physical capabilities of becoming an NFL player. But wherever you're at, like, you probably thought, I'm going to do this or do that. Or maybe you are fulfilling your childhood dream right now. But if you're like the rest of us who aren't doing that, we've found something different. Like Charles has found comedy. He's working in healthcare. He's really enjoying that. He's doing stand-up comedy. He's really enjoying that. For me, I thought, at first I thought I was going to be a Navy SEAL. I thought I was going to be in this rock band. I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I thought I was going to be a professional actor. I went through all my life thinking I was going to be these things, and here I am, a spiritual mentor to college students and pursuing stand-up comedy, part-time podcaster. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm just living, laughing, and loving. So whatever you're doing, you can live, laugh, and love. And I love that. And we got a supporter of the podcast this week, Peter, all the way from Minnesota, who is trying to live, laugh, or love. So let's hear a word from Peter himself. Thank you, Peter, for supporting the podcast. We couldn't do this without you. Here it goes. Peter, take it away.
Hey, my name's Peter. I'm a big supporter of the Just Trying to Podcast. I'm from Minnesota, over in Minneapolis here, and listen to that podcast every week when it comes out. One of my favorite parts is, Mike is just such a genuine guy. He really loves to share his opinions, and I love to hear them. I love the comedy, love the real actual helpful tips he gives, and I can't get away from it. So I'd say that you should really just consider being a big supporter of this podcast and taking the time to listen, and Go listen to it.
Wow, Peter, that means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much. Seriously, you can become a supporter just like Peter on Spotify, or check the link in any of our Instagram bio or the link in these show notes. For just 99 cents a month, you could become a supporter of this podcast, help make it possible as we are building this thing. We're just trying to podcast. And it is, whether you're a trier or doer or you're an in-betweener, you, my friend, are welcome here. And speaking of social media, I have been watching these Wes Anderson films, mini films, reels, TikToks, and I am loving it. Internet, you have outdone yourself. We all thought it was going to crap. We all thought AI was going to take over the world and everything is meaningless now. But Wes Anderson trend has restored my optimism, not my hope. This Wes Anderson trend has restored my optimism that we're going to survive AI. That we are too creative. We will solve the problem. Cheers to all you who are putting yourselves out there creating a you better not whatever, like a Wes Anderson film. I love it. I'm here for it. Keep it up, internet. I'm so proud of you. I got a bit of a comedy update for you, the people, on my journey. Well, my goal was to write comedy for like 10 to 15 minutes every day in April. I missed half the days. We were on a trip and kind of all over the place, and no excuses. I just didn't do it. I just didn't make it happen. And I only went up on stage 10 times in April. I think my goal was to do 15 times or 16 times maybe. No, I think it was 15 was my goal. But I only went up 10. And, just life happens. Comedy is important to me, but it's not the most important thing to me. So other things take precedence sometimes. And that's what happened this month. But I'm getting back on it. It's gonna be May. This is May 1st. I'm recording this. And I actually haven't wrote today yet, but I will. And I'm going to write every day of May for 10 to 15 minutes and write some comedy. But I've been having so much fun doing comedy. It has been a blast. I had my best set in a long time at Kind Taylor. I think I've said that before recently, but this was way better. It felt so good. So Kind Taylor is this show. I hope it will happen again. It was awesome. It was the most fun I've ever had at an open mic. But it was, if you've ever seen the show Kill Tony with Tony Hinchcliffe, he says it's the number one live podcast in the world, but it's comedians get 1 minute to make him and some other comedians who are on his panel that week, make them laugh, kill them with laughter, But they can kind of roast comedy. So it can be comedians. It can be kind of mean-spirited. That's the perception, at least. So Kind Taylor was Kill Tony, but it's nice. So Taylor Clark, and then we had Kermit Apio and Monica Neva. Gosh, I sure hope I pronounced your guys' names right. You guys are hilarious. But they were on the panel, and what happened was there was 25-ish comics, newer comics, maybe some more seasoned comics, but just maybe non-professional. There could have even been professional comics there. I actually don't know. But there were 25 of us, and we got 1 to 3 minutes to go up there, and then we would get interrupted. This was a really fun banter back and forth between the hosts and the comics. Sometimes you just got to go through, but if you want to see my set, I'm not going to post it publicly. But if you message me on Instagram, I'll send you the video. I would love to share that and hear your feedback. I just don't kind of want to put it publicly out there because, I'm still trying to refine this material. But if you want to be a creative voice into that, I may not take your advice or your suggestions, but if you are that interested, I'd love to show it to you. Or even better yet, you could actually come to my next show. The next show I'm promoting May 18th at Laughs Comedy Club here in Seattle, Washington. Buy tickets. It's Seattle's best comedy showcase at Laughs Comedy Club. That is a Thursday at 8 p.m. You can check the link in these show notes or the link in any of my bios on Instagram. Hit me up. I can give you a little discount code, I believe. I think I can do that. Get you a couple bucks off, maybe. And I'm going to be doing some of that material there. So if you're going to come to that show, I'm not going to send you the material because that would like ruin the surprise. But if you live in Missouri or like Peter in Minnesota, like you're not going to be able to watch me do comedy for a while, I'll send it to you. If you're in Washington, just come out, support me, Come out and support local comedy, not just me. There's going to be a bunch of great comics on that show. There always is. Speaking of transitions, I've done a few of these transitions in this episode because I was reading in this book, Mastering Stand-Up The Complete Guide to Becoming a Successful Comedian by Stephen Rosenfield. And I've checked this out from the local library for free. So support your local librarian. Shout out to Lucy Oltekin in Bloomington Normal, Illinois, who loves this podcast. She has been quoted as saying this is the best podcast ever, that if she only had to take one podcast to an island, she would take this podcast. So we appreciate you, Lucy, but she's a local librarian, so you're making it possible for me to check out books like this. And I've really enjoyed this, but I liked one thing he said about transitions in this book is that just like I did, speaking of da-da-da-da-da, intro, new topic. Speaking of, or that reminds me of this topic because that relates. He says, don't do that. It's like you're wasting your words. Like the word economy of stand-up comedy is like you are the transition. Like your personality is the transition. And I thought that was, so it was the chapter on creating your set list. Okay, so this is a quote from Stephen Rosenfield. He says, in stand-up, you are the transition. It is your comic personality that ultimately links together all of your jokes. And here's an example of this from Stephen Wright. Going through a variety of subjects that have seemingly nothing to do with each other, but not fattening up his joke. It's very trimmed down. He's not making it clunky with transitions. He's just moving. Like his personality is what moves him. So he says, I used to be a narrator for bad mimes. I was walking through the forest alone, and a tree fell right in front of me, and I didn't hear it. Are there any questions? Feeling kind of hyper. Went to the hardware store, bought some used paint. It was in the shape of a house. I also bought some batteries, but they weren't included, so I had to buy them again. Now, obviously, I'm not doing this in the cadence. I'm not even trying to imitate Stephen Wright. I just want to set this up as an example of here's how you could say that and make it clunky, a really jumbled mess by trying to force a transition in there. So Stephen Wright, as Stephen Rosenfield says, Stephen Wright would never say, I used to be a narrator for bad mimes. Mimes work alone. And speaking of being alone, I was walking through a forest alone and a tree fell right in front of me and I didn't hear it. See, his seemingly random remarks or his topics aren't tied together by transitions, but by his personality. Oh, here's what. This is a man who is clearly marching to the beat of a different drummer. And just off the bat, I really feel like I march, and I barch. I'm marching and I'm marching down the road. I march to the beat of a different drum. So if you're like me, if you're just trying to live, laugh, or love, just try to be a little weird, keep Mike, Tony, Heath weird. I actually have some merch. Mike, Tony, Heath weird. Keep Mike, Tony, Heath weird is some merch I have. So you can actually buy a coffee mug, Just Trying to Podcast coffee mug, and on the backside it says, Keep Mike, Tony, Heath weird. We also got some t-shirts, Keep Mike, Tony, Heath weird, Just Trying to Podcast. New merch drop coming this Friday. Check it out. It's going to be hot stuff. It might sell out. I don't know. I've never sold out a merch line before, and I'm not even trying to do that. But I like merch. If someone has cool merch, I want it, you know? So that's why I'm doing this. And we're wrapping things up here. I just have a final thought is, so I've been thinking about space a lot, and I saw this video. I'll show it here on Instagram. It was like this stabilized camera at Crater Lake National Park, I believe, and it showed the Earth's rotation. It just focused on the Milky Way. It's focusing on the Milky Way as the Earth rotates. And I just thought, wow, we are in space. We are so small. The cosmos are so vast, as they say, ever expanding. I'll be honest, I don't know what that means. I spilled coffee on my hand. I don't know what it means that the universe is expanding. Scientists say that. I don't understand what that means, but let's just say that's true. And I just want to challenge us ourselves, because I'm thinking, like, how is it possible, that we are here by accident? Like, I just so believe in a creator, and to know your creator, like, what a greater joy is that? Like, that's what comedy is all about. Like, just trying to help people smile, have a good time, like, be happy. But, like, it's like an escape, right? It's like when you go home, like, you still got bills to pay. But, like, for a moment, it's like medicine, like a moment of relief. Like, the medicine doesn't last forever. So, like, even comedy is like a bad medication. Like, you just drowning out the inner battles that we're having or whatever with laughter. Like, it's good medicine. Like, actually, I think the Bible, there's even a passage. Like, if you remember it, I could probably look it up, but I'm not going to in this moment. I'm pretty sure even, like, the Bible says something, maybe it's like a proverb or something about laughing is like good medicine for those, like, who have, like, a broken heart. Gosh, I wish I remembered this more specifically, but I'll look it up. Who knows? Let me know. But, well, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, like think about the vastness of our universe, and that, like, let's just say there was a creator. Like, maybe you don't believe in the creator, but let's just say there was, like, and there was an opportunity for you to have an experience of his presence in your life. And that's actually what happens. That's what Christianity is all about. Like, if you look at the Bible, like, it starts with God present among his creation, like the Spirit hovering over the waters, like God's presence is here on earth. But throughout the Bible, it's God just progressively getting closer and closer and closer to us, until him becoming a man like us, living among us, and then dying the death we deserved, rising from the dead, ascending back into the heavens with God the Father, and sending the Holy Spirit to actually live with us, like, live inside of us. Like, that is just crazy to think that, like, when you think about the vastness of the universe, like, the creator of it all has made his home in the hearts and the lives of humans. Like, that is mind-boggling stuff. And I think that's pretty awesome. Like, I'm just encouraged about that this morning. And I just want to be an encouragement. I want people, like, unless you're driving and you're cutting me off or you're honking at me, like, I'm working through that. I've been honking a lot recently, real aggressively. But outside of that context, man, I love comedy because I get to bring some relief, hopefully, if I make you laugh, or, like, I just like that environment. Like, hey, we're all here just trying to have a good time. We're all just trying to live, laugh, or love. And I believe that you can live, laugh, or love to the fullest if you are connected to your creator, and that is through Jesus. And I love that. Thank you so much for listening, guys, to the podcast. I love you all. I hope you can come out to the show on May 18th. We got some good stuff. There's going to be great comics there. Hit me up, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this episode. Consider if you don't want to become a supporter financially of the podcast, man, like, share a clip with a friend. If something is funny to you, I would really appreciate it. Nothing would be lost on me. Any support that comes my way, I am forever thankful for it. And as always, my friends, stay funny and stay weird. Peace. great shot.